What if I told you that in merely 90 days, you could awaken to a version of yourself so refined, so purposeful, that your current self would scarcely recognize him? Not as a vague possibility, but as a present fact, lived, embodied, and assumed. The way you move, the tone of your voice, your composure under tension, all reshaped by the power of inner conviction. What if the version of you who delays, who distracts, who doubts, simply ceased to be? Not through force, but through replacement. For nature abhors a vacuum, and when you assume a new self, the former must dissolve. In his place now stands one who is decisive, directed, creative, a finisher, a doer, a force. This is not fantasy. It is law. And every law of consciousness obeys the one who dares to imagine from the end. If you would have these next 90 days be a turning point, a consecration of discipline, clarity, and spiritual transformation, then you must not merely listen. You must enter in. Study this work, not once, but again and again. For this is not inspiration to make you feel good. This is revelation to make you become. You are not here to be motivated. You are here to remember who you are, to break allegiance with the image you no longer wish to express, and to assume fully the likeness of the one you choose to be. For the old self cannot cross this threshold. He must be left behind. And when you have chosen definiteness of assumption, the world within bends to reflect it. 90 days. One decision. Either live in imagination as the man who already is, or remain as the one who waits. What if I told you that in merely 90 days, you could awaken to a version of yourself so refined, so purposeful, that your current self would scarcely recognize? Not as a vague possibility, but as a present fact, lived, embodied, and assumed. The way you move, the tone of your voice, your composure under tension, all reshaped by the power of inner conviction. What if the version of you who delays, who distracts, who doubts, simply ceased to be? Not through force, but through replacement. For nature abhors a vacuum, and when you assume a new self, the former must dissolve. In his place now stands one who is decisive, directed, creative, a finisher, a doer, a force. This is not fantasy. It is law. And every law of consciousness obeys the one who dares to imagine from the end. If you would have these next 90 days be a turning point, a consecration of discipline, clarity, and spiritual transformation, then you must not merely listen. You must enter in. Study this work not once, but again and again. For this is not inspiration to make you feel good. This is revelation to make you become. You are not here to be motivated. You are here to remember who you are, to break allegiance with the image you no longer wish to express, and to assume fully the likeness of the one you choose to be. For the old self cannot cross this threshold. He must be left behind. And when you have chosen definiteness of assumption, the world within bends to reflect it. 90 days. One decision. Either live in imagination as the man who already is, or remain as the one who waits. Once the decision has been made to assume the end, the question becomes, how do we stay there? How do we dwell, moment to moment, in the awareness of the man we have decided to be? For many, the assumption is vivid in the stillness of morning or during quiet meditation. Yet it slips away when the world intrudes with its familiar faces, sounds, and obligation. But this is precisely where mastery is forged, not in the silence alone, but in your ability to anchor your identity within the noise. Neville said, "Your assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact." And yet, what if the challenge is not in the assuming, but in the persistence? The key lies not in intensity, but in constancy. When you live from the end, it is not about emotion, performance, or spiritual drama. It is subtle. It is quiet. It is normal. The man who has become his vision does not dramatize it. He is it. So the practice becomes this. Bring your assumed identity into everything you do. If you've assumed yourself to be a focused, powerful, and disciplined creator, then every movement of your day is an extension of that state. The way you sit at your desk, the way you open your laptop, the way you speak to the cashier. Each action becomes an opportunity to express identity, and each expression deepens the groove in your subconscious. You do not need to affirm, "I am," every moment. You simply move as one who already is. This is the invisible power that bends reality. You are not fighting for results. You are not hunting success. You are living as success. The assumption becomes the lens through which you view the entire world. Let's take a practical lens. Neville taught that imagination is the only creative power. Not some airy concept of imagination, but felt experience. Your imagination is not just for 5 minutes in a chair. It's for all waking hours. The imagination, sustained without contradiction, becomes a magnet to which reality conforms. Here is your discipline. Every time you are tempted to act from the old self, pause. Ask, what would he do? Not the you you're trying to escape, but the you that you've decided to be. The you who has already completed the 90 days, who is already clear, already certain, already anchored. And then you act accordingly. Every habit, every choice becomes holy when done from the end. It's not about never falling. It's about catching yourself faster. The old you will whisper often, "What's the point? Does it matter today? I start over next week." But the new you knows better. He smiles gently at these thoughts and walks on. You don't wrestle with the old self. You stop feeding him. You stop listening. You let him die by neglect. And what do you feed instead? Stillness, intention, repetition. In the same way the body grows through consistent movement, the mind grows through consistent direction. Every day, bring yourself back to the end. Even if you drifted, even if the world distracted you. There is no punishment. There is only return. Your imagination is your inner sanctuary. Return to it often. Create rituals that reinforce identity, not to build motivation, but to build momentum. Wake with a phrase. Perhaps it is, "I am already him," or "This is who I am now." Not shouted, but known. When you enter your work, do it with deliberate energy. Do not just complete a task, infuse it with the energy of completion, as though the project were already a success, and you were simply watching it unfold. Before sleep, review your day, not from the lens of judgment, but of correction. Where did I act from the old man? Where did I slip into delay, doubt, or distraction? Then, in imagination, replay those scenes, but this time as your new self. This is revision, and it is one of the most potent tools Neville offered. You are not bound to live the same day twice. Every scene revised becomes a seed planted, and over time, something astonishing happens. You begin to feel like him. This is not pretend. This is the most sincere act in the world. What you feel consistently, you become. Not in theory, but in form. People will not understand at first. That's fine. You are not here to explain the inner workings of your consciousness to the outside world. You are here to create, to express, to become. The outer world is delayed echo. So do not panic if it lags. Do not judge the process by appearance. Remain loyal to the inner state. When the senses scream contradiction, hold firm. Say to yourself, "This too must yield." For everything you persist in imagining will take shape, just as surely as the seed must sprout. You are not here to get through the day. You are here to express mastery. Every small act is a declaration. This is who I am. So if you find yourself tempted to scroll aimlessly, pause. Ask, would he do this? If not, you gently close the app and move on. Not in guilt, in power. For every denial of the old self is a yes to the new. Your energy must become sacred, guarded, directed. Neville once said, "Do not try to change people. They are only messengers telling you who you are." So if conflict arises, if doubt enters your field, ask, what is this revealing about the state I'm living from? Then rise again. Not by willpower, but by shifting state. You are the operant power. No one else is coming to save you. And no external event is required to confirm your worthiness. You are already it. Assume it. Live in it. And then watch, with quiet knowing, as the world rearranges to mirror back the self you never doubt. This is the art of anchoring identity. Not through striving, but through resting in the conviction that it is already done. And returning, again and again, to that silent knowing until it becomes the only truth you accept. It is already done. Live accordingly. There is a sacred power that lies between the end of one day and the beginning of another. A silent moment where the world fades, the mind softens, and the conscious veil lifts. In this space, your imagination is most potent, not to fantasize, but to create. Neville Goddard called this interval the doorway to the subconscious, the sacred chamber where the blueprint of your reality is written anew. It is here, in this twilight space before sleep, that you must place the image of your desired self. For in sleep, you do not let go of consciousness. You carry its last impression into the depths of mind, where all things are recorded and made manifest. But to do this well, to truly use imagination as the operant power, you must not approach it haphazardly. It must become a ritual, a sacred appointment with your future self. Begin with stillness, not forced stillness, but willing stillness. Let the body relax. Let the mind settle. The concerns of the day are no longer yours. You are not here to analyze, to fix, or to plan. You are here to assume. Now, build your scene. This is not a vision of effort or trying. This is a scene after the wish has been fulfilled. It must be short, vivid, repeatable, and filled with feeling. See yourself as you would be after the 90-day transformation is complete. You are not observing him. You are him. Your breathing has changed. Your posture is poised. Your inner conversation is peaceful and certain. What would imply your wish is already realized? It may be a congratulatory handshake, a compliment from a friend, a glance in the mirror with quiet satisfaction. Choose one. Ponder. Now loop it. Feel it. Rehearse it. Until it feels natural. Until you find yourself smiling without trying. Until the scene becomes less a movie you watch and more a memory you relive. This is imagination used as law, not as leisure. Most drift into sleep, replaying fears, regrets, or doubts. They unconsciously rehearse failure. And so, their subconscious accepts failure as familiar. But not you. You will give your subconscious orders, not confusion. You will impress it with clarity, not chaos. Sleep, Neville said, is the door into the subconscious. It is the place where all seeds are sown. So what are you planting? Let your last act of consciousness be one of creative command. You are not asking for permission. You are impressing a truth. Well, and there is more. Use this moment for revision. Throughout the day, you may have acted from the old self, snapped at someone, hesitated, avoided the hard task. Do not carry those scenes into sleep. Rewrite them, not to escape them, but to reprogram how your subconscious remembers them. Close your eyes and replay the scene as it occurred. Then immediately rewrite it. See yourself responding as your new self. Hear the words you wish you had spoken. Feel the confidence you meant to express. Overlay the old memory with the new one, and accept the revised version as the one that actually happened. This is not delusion. This is dominion. For your mind is not a recorder. It is a builder. And what you accept as real within, it begins to shape without. Make revision a nightly habit. Over time, you will notice a strange and beautiful shift. Your automatic reactions begin to align with the new self. You are not just performing. You are becoming. Now, let us speak of imagination in the waking day. Many think imagination is for the rare moment, the meditation chair, the silence. But the wise know, imagination is your constant companion. You are always imagining. You are always dwelling in some inner conversation. The only question is, from which state are you imagining now? The man who becomes unshakable trains his imagination not once, but all day long. He does not just hope to feel elevated. He chooses elevated scene. He catches himself when drifting into worry. He redirects when the mind wanders. He makes it his art to live from the end in the most mundane moments. While walking, he imagines success. While waiting in line, he rehearses gratitude. While drinking coffee, he hears the voice of someone praising his work. These moments seem small. They are not. They are the bricks of your new world. Every casual scene imagined with feeling is a stone laid in your inner temple, and that temple will one day appear as circumstance. Here's a secret. You do not need to believe in the outer world, only the inner one. If you can sustain a scene inwardly long enough, vividly enough, and without doubt, the world will conform. Even if it seems impossible, even if there is no path in sight. The law is simple. The world reflects the dominant assumption. Not the loudest thought, but the most accepted one. So your task is this: cultivate assumption as reality. Practice it not with tension, but with joy, with quiet confidence. Let your imagination become your retreat, your power source, your secret garden. And if the world contradicts it, let it. It is simply an echoing past seeds. Do not argue with the mirror. Change the face you show it. As you strengthen this ritual, both before sleep and throughout the day, you begin to notice something remarkable. Reality becomes more pliable. People respond differently. Opportunities appear. Serendipity multiplies. But none of it surprises you. Why? Because you've already lived it within. This is not luck. This is law. Let your imagination become your dominant state. Let it shape your mornings. Let it color your routines. Let it echo in your voice. And above all, let it be the last place you visit before surrendering to sleep. Because the man who controls his inner scene controls the script of life itself. Imagination is the workshop of God, and you are his vessel. So create with reverence. Assume with finality. And return each night to the vision that already knows it is done. Resistance is not the enemy. It is the invitation. It is the pressure that reveals the cracks in your foundation, the unseen loyalties to old assumptions, and the unburned bridges to your past identity. And if you are to truly become the one you have imagined, you must learn to bless resistance, for it is the fire in which identity is forged. Neville never taught escape. He taught transmutation. He taught that the outer world is only ever a shadow cast by the inner state. So when contradiction appears, when the money is not yet there, the affirmation feels hollow, the results seem distant, it is not a sign that the law has failed. It is proof that the old self still lingers subtly, whispering its familiar tune. And so resistance arises. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're doing something different. Let us be clear. The moment you assume a new identity, you declare war on the habits, thoughts, and patterns of the old. The resistance is not coming from the world. It is coming from within. It is your nervous system adjusting. It is your subconscious rearranging its loyalties. It is a part of you that was once safe in smallness, now facing extinction. So, what do? Do. You do not fight. You observe. You recognize resistance as sacred data. You say, here is where the old belief still holds. And in that moment, you reclaim your power. Most people panic when resistance comes. They retreat. They delay. They begin to doubt the assumption. But the wise initiate knows this is the turning point. This is the test of faith, and more importantly, the test of identity. Remember this, the world moves after you do. If you allow resistance to alter your assumption, the world will mirror your retreat. But if you hold the vision without flinch, the world will yield. It has no choice. So how do you transmute resistance? First, through stillness. When emotion rises, when fear knocks, when doubts scream, breathe, return to self, not the small self that reacts, but the true self that chooses. The one who knows, I am. Then speak into it. Not to fight it, but to redirect it. Speak the new identity into the old emotion. When fear says, you can't, you respond, I already did. When doubt says, it's not working, you reply, it is finished. Let your inner speech become a tuning fork that realigns your nervous system with the state assumed. Second, rewrite in real time. Neville's technique of revision is not confined to night. You can revise in the moment. If you falter, if you react, if the old self takes the wheel, do not despair. As soon as awareness returns, replay the scene as it should have been. Inject it with the feeling of success, of peace, of embodiment. Let that version be the one you accept. You are not bound to repeat history. You are only bound to repeat what you do not revise. Third, anchor into physical action. Not for outcome, but for embodiment. Do something the new self would do. Not to prove worth, but to express truth. Perhaps it is a message sent with confidence. A task completed with focus. A workout done with joy, not guilt. These are not just actions. They are declarations. Every aligned action reduces resistance. Why? Because the body follows the mind. And when both move in unity, resistance becomes fuel. Now understand this. Some resistance is subtle. It wears the mask of logic. It will sound like maybe I'm expecting too much too soon. Or, let's be realistic. But this is not realism. It is regression. The self that trusts the law does not consult the outer world for validation. He consults imagination. Never forget, your imagination is the only reality. So when contradiction appears, you smile. You do not collapse. You say, this is the death cry of the old man. And then you continue walking. You persist. You return again to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Because this is how identity is cemented. Not in the easy moments, but in the ones where it would be easiest to quit. Let resistance become your ritual. Every time it arises, say, good, this means I'm close. Use it as your cue to return to the scene, the breath, the inner speech that aligns you with the end. Use it as your mirror, not to judge yourself, but to adjust. You are sculpting self, and resistance is the chisel. Now let us take it deeper. Sometimes resistance does not come as thought. It comes as people, as circumstances, as unexpected chaos. And here too the principle applies. These are not enemies. They are messengers. They are showing you where you are still reacting, where you are still assuming power outside yourself. So when conflict arises, when others question you, when the world seems to push back, do not respond with noise. Respond with inner silence. Return to the state. If someone disrespects you, ask, what am I assuming that allows this? not in blame, in clarity. If finances contract, ask, where have I drifted from abundance? Not in fear, in awareness. And then, assume again, you are not managing the outer world. You are mastering the inner one. Now, this is the path of the quiet warrior, the one who does not panic, the one who does not explain, the one who does not argue with appearance. He knows that resistance is not a wall, it is a veil. Then, I'm illusory dot, and easily pierced by one who remembers who he is. So let resistance rise, and let it pass. Do not cling to it. Do not analyze it endlessly. Acknowledge, realign, die, re-enter the state. The moment you assume, fully and without doubt, that your new identity is already real, resistance loses all power. It only had strength because you gave it attention. From now on, your attention is sacred. You do not lend it to fear. You do not loan it to doubt. You invest it in the vision. You plant it in the soil of the end. And you water that soil with stillness, repetition, and unwavering faith. For the man who meets resistance and walks forward anyway is the man the world cannot ignore. Not because he shouted, but because he remained. And in his remaining, the world rearranged. That is the law. That is the promise. Let resistance be the proof that you are on holy ground. Now take the next step, in silence, in strength, in full remembrance. It is done. Wealth is not material. It is mental. It is not the number in your account, but the assumption you carry. Most chase money as if it were a thing to possess, but the wise know money is not chased, it is received, in proportion to the state of abundance one lives in. When you say, I want more money, you affirm its absence. When you imagine, I already have all I need, and walk in that state, you dissolve resistance. You move in alignment with the law. Neville taught that abundance is a reflection, not a pursuit. The outer world mirrors your assumption about supply, flow, and work. So when you embody the identity of the wealthy, not greed, but sufficiency, you begin to see reality reorganize. This doesn't mean you pretend to be rich. It means you live richly now. You give thanks for every dollar. You pay bills with peace, not panic. You walk into spaces with the posture of one who belongs. Your internal atmosphere determines how the world relates to you. And wealth isn't just income. It is the wealth of time, energy, clarity. It is the feeling of freedom, the ease of decision, the absence of scarcity. You can feel that now. And that feeling is your new command. You are no longer someone trying to get rich. You are someone who already is in harmony with wealth. Let us now turn to creativity. All true creation begins in stillness. The greatest art, the most inspired writing, the most divine innovations, they are not forced. They are received. And the one who creates most freely is the one who has cleared the way. You are not blocked. You are distracted. You are not uninspired. You are overthinking. To embody creative identity is to say, I am the vessel. I do not create from strain. I create from flow, from trust, from imagination. So ask yourself, what would the creative genius within me feel like? What would it be like to be in constant contact with insight, idea, beauty? Then live from that place. You do not need to finish the novel today. You only need to become the writer, the painter, the innovator. Feel the rhythm of inspired flow. Set your space with care. Honor your creative hours as sacred. Not to produce, but to listen. Creativity is not something you schedule. It is something you allow. And when you stop demanding perfection, when you trust the unseen wellspring within, it pours through you. This is not just about making art. It is about expressing soul, Every act of creativity is a declaration. I am alive, I am free, I am a channel of something higher. Which brings us to spiritual purpose. Most spend their lives seeking meaning, waiting for a sign, a calling, a confirmation. But purpose is not something you discover. It is something you choose. Purpose is a decision to live as one who matters. You are not here to chase your purpose. You are here to declare it, and then live each day in devotion to the self you've chosen to be. Ask not, what is my purpose? Ask, what is the highest state I am willing to dwell in every day? Because your purpose is not your job title. It is the way you walk through the world. It is your alignment, your presence, your impact. When you assume spiritual purpose, you stop needing external validation. You no longer wait to be chosen. You realize, I choose me. You bring intention into the smallest act. You bring love into every conversation. You radiate clarity, even when no one sees. And by doing so, you elevate everything around you. The spiritual man knows the sacred is not somewhere else. It is in the moment, the movement, the breath. You are not disconnected. You are distracted. Return to self. Return to now. And your path will light itself. So how do you embody these identities practically? In wealth, start by tracking not your lack, but your flow. Notice every bit of abundance, a free coffee, a stranger's kindness, unexpected time. These are signs that you are aligned. Build a habit of saying inwardly, money flows to me easily because I live in alignment with wealth. Before spending, bless the transaction. Say, I release this with joy and it returns multiplied. These are not affirmations. They are instructions to the subconscious. In creativity, ritualize your entry into flow. Light a candle. Play a specific song. Set a space that reminds your mind, we are now available for inspiration. And when it comes, receive it without judgment. Create without needing to prove. Let each act be enough. And in purpose, begin the day with this question. How would I walk if I knew my life made a difference? Then walk that way. You are not insignificant. You are an echo of the divine. So act like it. The most magnetic people are not loud. They are clear. Clear in identity, clear in intention, clear in presence. You don't need to find your voice. You need to stop denying it. And here is the truth behind all three domains. Wealth, creativity, and purpose are not destination. They are states of being. You do not get there. You assume them, and the path rises to meet your feet. Let this be your new spiritual contract. I will no longer wait. I will no longer beg. I will no longer dilute. I am already the one I desire to be. I walk in the energy of wealth. I move in the rhythm of inspiration. I serve with the fire of divine purpose. And from this point on, I no longer seek permission. I live from the end, and I let the world adjust. It is done. Cold wing that.